As a PC guy, over the past few years I've had a bunch of desk setups. But despite how much better they got, and how much more expensive, I never truly felt happy with them. As on this search for perfection, I'd somehow managed to accumulate just so much stuff. So this year I decided to switch things up and give Mac a shot again, to see if their new chips and walled garden really are everything they're cracked up to be, and to find out if it's really possible to create a setup that somehow makes the best out of both worlds. The incentive for this new setup was moving into our new apartment, where we've been trying to keep our costs low by using our bedroom as my YouTube studio during the day. In our last apartment, my wife Nisha and I started using an IKEA day bed as our main bed because it halves in size whenever we needed the extra space. But in this apartment, since it's essentially the size of a king-size bed, it usually just stays open the majority of the time, apart from when I'm turning our room upside down to film. And to help it feel a bit more like a bedroom, we added a couple of IKEA nightstands and reading lights to match the bed frame, whilst also hiding some extra storage for my office equipment and camera gear. For the desk, because of the limited space at the foot of the bed, I decided to keep on using this basic white standing desk frame with this shallow 60 by 120 centimeter white laminate desktop, which I found to be far more forgiving and less anxiety provoking when compared to lacquered wood. And I found my trusty IKEA desk chair to provide some pretty impressive lower back support and having a design that actually looks quite at home in a bedroom. And in order to give myself a little bit more working room, I've added an IKEA ALEX Drawer system alongside, which functions like a bit more of a domesticated husky workbench, while organising the large majority of my work-related clutter and my camera gear. And this has been improved massively by adding in a non-slip toolbox liner and interlocking drawer organisers. And when I think about it, I'm realising that I've been trying to create a workspace that barely resembles a typical workspace at all. Powering this new setup is the new 16-inch M3 Max MacBook Pro, which I bought shortly after its release at the end of last year. And despite being eye-wateringly expensive, it did win me over with its specs, which provide me with uncompromised freedom to work away from my desk when I'm feeling unproductive, which I found to be incredibly liberating, as recently I've been finding that both my creativity and productivity has been craving for new environments. But for when I do need to knuckle down at a desk, I decided to try out a refurbished Apple Studio display for my new hybrid setup, despite almost the entire internet calling it overpriced. But the one thing that drove me to make such a silly purchase decision is that I simply can't find a monitor that's decent enough that actually looks good, as almost everything is either too gamer focused or way too plasticky, where the build quality of Apple monitors is currently unlike anything else that's out there, where the Studio display integrates the speakers, power delivery and webcam into a colour accurate 5K display, which I have to say doesn't really sound like much of a jump from 4K. But when you do the math, this is almost double the amount of pixels. And despite it being physically smaller than some 4K monitors, the extra resolution makes it more comfortable to sit closer to, which actually works a lot better when you have a shallow desk like mine. However, I have to say that despite the better reflection handling, the nano-textured display definitely loses some sharpness when compared to my MacBook Pro's display, which I don't think is quite worth the price tag. But the height adjustable stand, on the other hand, despite being incredibly expensive, is absolutely beautifully made, which means that this monitor looks great from almost any angle. And because this means it's not clamped to a desk while containing your dock, webcam and speakers, this setup has almost zero cable management and is even incredibly easy to move. When it comes to peripherals, I could honestly get by without them completely, but because I often prefer the simplicity of having one screen, I've added a dock to this setup from Human Centric, which I think looks just as good empty as it does when in use. Where I've recently started using the Logitech MX Keys Mini and Anywhere 3S mouse because of their compact size and the fact that they can be paired with up to 3 devices, which is pretty crucial for a hybrid setup. Where my custom built PC now lives down on the floor, which I'll admit is not an ideal location, but I'm going to risk it anyway because it makes it a little bit more inconspicuous. And this connects to the studio display using a special cable that I discovered, which gives me full connectivity to the speakers, webcam, and display itself, which allows me to take full advantage of my PC's superior rendering capabilities for my architectural workflow, where I most recently upgraded its GPU last year to the RTX 4070, where upgrading is simply something you can't do with a Mac. And to keep this setup looking as clean and as low maintenance as physically possible, I went for this Anker 3-in-1 MagSafe charger to charge my watch, phone, and AirPods, which folds into this tiny little cube when it's not needed. And for lighting, because I don't really want a bulky task lamp on my desk, or cluttering the aesthetics of this setup, I've simply been using a battery-powered video light to bounce soft light off the wall behind the monitor, which I find to be far less glaring. And thanks to its small size, battery life, and brightness, I can move it wherever I want to, whenever I want to, which stops it cluttering my setup except when I need it to. Now, for comparison, there are definitely far better spec'd products that you can buy for the money. But something that I've realized with tech is that when it comes to certain items, there is value that you simply can't include on a spec sheet. And when I add up the total of the items that I've purchased for previous setups, which I've chosen to relegate in favor of the studio display, it's really made me wonder if it was such a frivolous purchase after all. Especially when I consider the amount of time that I've lost trying to research and curate the perfect desk setup to get work done at, rather than simply doing the work itself. Where despite being undoubtedly worse than a lot of custom-built PCs, after using the MacBook Pro for the past several months, I definitely have this newfound appreciation of laptop-driven setups, as it's really quite incredible how much you can do with something that's in such a small package. Which now has me reconsidering what my future desk setups might look like completely. But despite the new MacBook Pro's efficiency blowing the other laptop competition completely out of the water, this brings me to the sponsor of today's video, UGREEN, where because batteries don't last forever, I personally never enjoy being forced to tether myself to a seat with an outlet. But with their new 12 and 20,000 mAh Nexos chargers, they're capable of charging my MacBook Pro up to 50% in just 28 minutes using 100 watt power delivery, while being able to allocate their output between multiple devices simultaneously, with their larger models having a TFT screen displaying how much charge you have left and how it's being allocated between its ports, where the new shape of these power banks allow them to stand upright so that they take up less space on a work surface, while still easily fitting inside of a backpack. So if the idea of being freed from outlets is something that sounds appealing, be sure to check these products out using the link in the description below.